Hey there, lovely people. Welcome back to WRAL Triangle and 2. I am Luis Fernandez. He is Mark Bergin, and it is the most wonderful time of the year. We have reached that kind of like sports equinox where you have all of the different sports all happening at the same time. And in the college level, that means basketball and football especially. All three Triangle teams got started at the beginning of the week. All three Triangle men's teams with games all Monday night. So we're going to go through game by game here and break it down. Mark, let's get started with Duke. Number 2
Your
Duke.
favorite, Lewis.
Number 2 Duke. They looked okay. So number 2 Duke dismantling. I say dismantling Dartmouth, 92-54. I was at the game last night, covering it, and they looked.
What
good.
was that energy like at Cameron Indoor, Lewis? Let the people know.
So it was interesting because, it's a Monday night game, 9 p.m. tip-off, which in my mind, 9 p.m. tip-offs for college basketball should be illegal. It should be punishable by law because it's just so ridiculous to have games that late. But even though it was 9 o'clock, John Shire mentioned it after the game as well. The energy in Cameron was great. It felt like a game, at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Everyone was ready. Cameron Crazies were looking really good. They brought all the energy. And the team really was exciting. So many young, talented players that they have there now, on top of the 4 starters that they're returning. And you saw a little bit of the new and the old start to come together. What were your initial takeaways there, Mark?
Well, with the Blue Bloods, it's you don't rebuild, you reload. And we can make all the hip jokes about Kyle Filipowski, but he filled it up. And that dunk, if you saw one highlight from this game, he had a dunk and then he blows the double kiss to the camera. And that to me was just, if you had to recap this game in one play, that's what it was. Preseason All-American delivers. But Lewis, it's the depth and it's really the freshmen that stood out to me. Now we could go to Caleb Foster and his contributions to the team. But I'm telling you this, and I know it's a small sample size, only 8 points in the stat sheet. 2 of 4 from 3. Jared McCain, the freshman, I'm telling you right now, when he gets more opportunities to shoot it from deep, he just has a nice, silky, smooth form. I'm telling you, he's going to light it up from 3 for this Duke team that can beat you in a multitude of ways.
So that is what Shire really emphasized after the game, is that they can play inside out. They can attack offensively at multiple levels. And you saw that. They shot just under 50% in the first half. They were able to attack inside with Filipowski. I think he only missed 2 shots, I believe, the entire game and had like 25 points. He was incredibly efficient. Mark Mitchell did not play in this game. He started 36 games. I believe every single game last year, maybe missed 1 for Duke. And so not having him in the lineup was like a little bit difficult. It made them adjust. They played 4 guards at times, which was really interesting. So it's going to be really interesting to see just kind of like the depth of that backcourt for Duke and the talent that's there. Shire said after the game that Mark Mitchell, it's not any kind of serious injury. He's not too worried. I believe his ankle is what it was. Said he wanted to try and go today, but just couldn't. But he's hopeful that he'll be able to play on Friday against number 12 Arizona in Cameron, which will be a really fun game for a November college basketball game.
Yeah, my brain is trying to adjust because I'm still in football mode. We just wrapped up baseball, then professional hockey, and then NBA is underway too. But with Filipowski, Lewis, we're going to have to come up with a nickname. So if people are watching this, we call him 2 Hips. I've seen all of the Shakira memes on the internet with the hips don't lie. No, there's going to be a lot of jokes made about that, but he seems to be moving better. And if he gets better based off of what was a downright impressive freshman year, where he had a lot of accolades, he was the ACC tournament player going into the NCAA tournament after Duke wins that. Very, very exciting if you're a Blue Devils fan. And so, look, like we don't want to take away too much from one game, Lewis, but opening night, they looked very, very impressive in their win over Dartmouth.
They did.
Let's keep this rolling, though, I think. I mean, unless there's anything else you noticed from being boots on the ground there, Lewis. I don't want to shortchange you just because you were physically there.
Nope, all good.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move on now to, so that number 2 Duke. So let's move down the AP top 25 here to number 19 UNC, beating Radford 86-70 in their first game of the season at Dean Smith Center. A little bit of a struggle in this one. UNC was in a tight contest with Radford for most of the kind of essentially first 3 quarters of the game, then pulled away there at the end. Mark, what were your overall thoughts watching
So
this
I
Tar
watched,
Heel team that's trying to rebound?
yeah, I watched this game and it was a 5-point game at half. And I texted you and I'm like, what's going on with the Tar Heels? And you go, oh, this is standard for the course for how North Carolina typically opens a season. So I did my homework, Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, opening game against UNC Wilmington, Tar Heels win 69-56. Year before that, Loyola, Maryland, 83-67. Year before that in 2020 against Charleston, 79-60. So North Carolina typically, at least in recent years, hasn't blown out their opening opponent, but in a bit of a transition, trying to run a new offense. The big question I'm going to have with the Tar Heels this season, given the floor spacing issues that we saw a year ago, the level of production you're going to get from Armando Bacot, 25 and 13 in this game. Who is going to be the Robin to his Batman? You might say, well, I got RJ Davis coming back, right?
Yeah, it's RJ Davis. I don't know what you're saying. It's RJ Davis.
He has to be the facilitator. Let me make every analogy about what a
No.
point guard needs to be. He needs to be the straw that stirs the drink.
Continue.
No, hop in here, Lewis. I want to hear this. But I think he needs to be more of the distributor versus someone who's going to light up the scoreboard, scoring points in bunches. That's just my 2 cents worth. And look, he's a smaller guard. If he were that good, he would be in the NBA. This is my meatball take. What say you, Luis Fernandez?
Elliot Cadeau did not start, obviously, but that's the role that he's going to fill. He's one of the most talented passing guards they've had since Kendall Marshall. So I look at the minutes here, right? Cadeau did not start, but he played 19 minutes compared to about, mid to high 20s for the starters. That's just kind of how UNC basketball, it goes back to Dean Smith, it goes back to Roy Williams, and now Hubert Davis, right? They don't let freshmen start immediately. There's always it's the kind of transitional period. So I think by mid-December, you're going to see Elliot Cadeau making his way into the starting lineup. To me, I mean, RJ Davis is going to, I think, really focus in on scoring off ball when Cadeau is on there. I think that's going to be really important for his continued development. For me, when I look at this, it's obviously, it was a lot tighter than you would like if you are a UNC fan. But when you look at more of the process and not the result, I think that there are a lot of things that are very exciting. The assists, for example, you had 18 assists on 32 made shots. That assist to, field goal ratio is so much higher than what you were seeing last year. So the ball is moving around. It's not sticking. It's constantly moving, which is very good. That's very important for what, if UNC wants to have a lot more success offensively at the very least. Also, when I look at this too, right, I know it's Radford, so take it what you will, and we need to see more of this moving forward. So you look at the total minutes played here, right? The starting 5 all got in that kind of mid 20, late 20, or high 20, low 30 range. And then you had 1, 2, 3, 4 players on the bench getting 10 minutes or more. One of the, I think, concerns when you look at how Hubert Davis has coached UNC so far in his tenure is those very short benches, right? And so now you're starting to get more, at least early on, more of these rotational players in, more depth perhaps. And they're also experimenting with a lot of different lineups. It felt a little like kooky. It's all right, let's see what works here. Let's go out here and see what happens. So a lot of turnovers too, but I think that's one of those things that's going to continue to get better with time for UNC. But the thing is, Mark, right? They haven't exactly earned the benefit of the doubt when you look at how last year went. So I think it's going to be a process with Carolina, but I see the foundation of an improved season already.
Okay, even after one game. And the reason why I mentioned the Robin, the Bacot's Batman, good teams are going to take away Bacot down low, double team him, right? So I look in last night's game, I look at the box score, 35% from 3, which isn't terrible for college, but it could be improved upon. They shoot more than 50% from the floor overall. But then I look at RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau. They're both 6 foot tall. So it's against bigger, longer teams. And again, we talk about styles of play. That's where it's who's going to step up from the Tar Heels, given, again, what we saw a year ago was a big problem with the offense was who can help space the floor and knock down open shots. And that's
Well,
what I'm talking about. You know what you're going to get from Bacot. And it's like, this is now Hubert Davis's team in year 3. So if
mhm,
Bacot had left to go to the NBA, like who would be steering this ship right now? And that's the question I have is, you know what you're going to get from Armando?
yeah.
Who's going to be that other guy? I mean, if it's RJ, is it going to be the guy who takes you to the title team and you're minutes away from winning a national championship? Or is it going to be the team that he was part of last year that doesn't even make the tournament after starting preseason number 1?
Yeah, I mean, they're number 19 in the country. Like, I think the expectations have to it's going to be a process for UNC. But I mean, you look like Cormac Ryan had 13 points. 3 of 7 from 3. That's already like significantly better than UNC would have been last year from shooting from the outside. Harrison Ingram, his role is going to be really interesting to me because he has that size that like a Leaky Black did. His defense is not going to be as good as Leaky Black's, obviously, but like offensively, he's doing a lot more. 12 points, 2 of 5 from 3. So I think that the spacing is going to get there. I think that the offensive production is going to get there. My big question for UNC is what the defense is going to continue to look like. But hey, it's one game into the season, and we're going to see how they continue to develop. Speaking of teams, by the way,
Hang on, I got one
you
more
got
thing.
one more
I got
thing?
one more thing.
Okay, let me hear you say it.
Elliot Cadeau reclassified to be part of this Tar Heels team, the 2023-24 season. I don't know how soon it needs to be, Lewis, to give him the keys to the Cadillac and say,
Yeah,
let's go, because
I'm
he was
telling you,
one of
it's
the
going to be
top recruits.
It's going to be mid-December. This is
Okay.
exactly what UNC does every single year. It's going to be early to mid-December.
Right.
They're going to make that roll. You're probably going to take Paxton Wojak and move him onto make him like kind of like a 6-man type thing. That's my guess at least, but we'll see. So let's go from one team that is still trying to develop chemistry to another team that is also still trying to develop chemistry. NC State, they start their season with a 72-59 win over the Citadel at PNC Arena. And Mark, it's tough because I think it was Kevin Keats mentioned it after the game. They're like integrating like 6, 7, 8 new players into the lineup. So and that's just kind of the college basketball world we live in. It's just it's what life is now with the transfer portal. Something that Kevin Keats has had a lot of success with as a coach, going into that portal, finding talent, and integrating it into his team. Your first takeaways from what the Wolfpack did to start the season?
I'm so happy we get another season of the big fella, DJ Burns, the big lefty here in Raleigh. I love watching him. He's the Wolfpack's leading scorer last night. How the rest of the team integrates, though, Lewis, because again, against better teams, they'll take him away. They'll double team him. Who else can step up? And so for NC State, for me, how you succeed this season is, can you make the tournament again back-to-back seasons, to where was last year a one-year blip where you're relying on the expertise, the excellent play of Jarkel Joyner and help me out here, Jarkel Joyner, and then
Quavion Smith.
Thank you very much. So both of those players gone to the league now, gone to the NBA. How do you help fill that void? Burns the leading scorer last night, but the new blood that's coming in, Lewis, that's going to be the big thing. This game wasn't televised either, so I'm relying on box scores. Full transparency to our listeners and viewers, because I did get the chance to watch the North Carolina game on the ACC network, and I did get the chance to watch the Duke game on the ACC network.
It's all about
I want to be transparent to our viewers, Lewis.
It's all about those. What is it? It's the condensed highlights on YouTube. If the game's not televised, that's a big one for me. I think DJ Burns looked great. I think he didn't miss a shot in the first half, I believe. He ends up finishing 8 of 11, 16 points. Mohamed Diarra going 10 points, 14 rebounds, 27 minutes. I think that's big because you're going to need bigs to complement DJ Burns, just because I think of his style of play, right? The more that you can do to help him defensively, I think the more he can focus on offense and be that kind of, main cog to this engine that State wants to run. I think too, I was talking with some folks about this last night at the Duke game when we were just kind of looking at what NC State is, what some of the different teams are doing. Like, I think people forget, because of how good of an end to the season DJ Burns had last year, people forget how much of a slow ramp up it was for him getting involved. Like, he really did not become like what we associate DJ Burns to be at NC State until ACC play. Like, it took him a little bit of time to get integrated, build his minutes up, get going, get moving into that system. So I'm still curious to see kind of how they continue to integrate. Replacing the guards, like you said, that's huge. So much of what they got going on. You had
the name I want to mention too,
yeah.
Lewis, is Casey Morsell taking over for Smith in Joyner. He only has 9 points last night, but he's a guy who at times last year, in certain games, he was the best guard for NC State a year ago. Now, he was kind of that third guard in that rotation, but I would assume he's going to step into a bigger role this year, and we'll see how all that plays out in the games to come.
Casey Morsell is very, very dangerous from behind the arc. It just, it doesn't really feel like he tried to, push it this game. Kind of let everyone else get their share of things. But now Casey Morsell, when he gets going, he is one of the more dangerous shooters in the ACC for sure. State's going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to develop. This is a good start for them. All three of these teams starting off 1-0, obviously, is what you want from a triangle perspective. And one more thing too I want to mention here, Mark, before we move on. Women's basketball in the ACC is also continuing and getting started this week. You had Duke. They already locked up their first win of the season against Richmond. They played Monday late morning, early afternoon type thing. And then you have UNC and NC State both getting started. NC State playing Charlotte Tuesday. That's when we're recording, on Tuesday. And then UNC playing Gardner-Webb tomorrow. And then this weekend, you have NC State women's basketball playing UConn, which is going to be very fascinating, very fun. I'll be at that game, so I'm pumped about that. So it's a great time. It's a great time, Mark.
You get to see Gino in the flesh, Lewis. I am jealous.
Gino, I have no comment. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and transition now to the NFL. We waited to record Triangle into this week to Tuesday so that we could mention all of those college basketball games that we just did. The day before all those college basketball games were played, the Carolina Panthers, oh boy, they followed up their first win of the season with a bit of a stinker against the Indianapolis Colts, and now they get to play the Chicago Bears. Mark, let them have
Thursday night football. Bring it here. The battle for the number one pick. And remember, this is the team that has the Panthers first round pick in 2024. DJ Moore is back playing his former team. But the thing I'm most excited for, and this truly shows my personality, Lewis, can't wait to see how fired up Al Michaels is to be in Chicago, the Windy City, on Thursday night with the league's two worst teams, because if the season ended today, other than the Cardinals, you have the Panthers, who are 1-7. You have the Bears 2-7. If you thought a few weeks ago Bears Broncos was bad, buckle up, get your popcorn ready. Thursday night football against two of the league's worst teams. I can't wait. In all seriousness, I do hope Justin Fields is back for the Bears. Tyson Bagent's been a terrific story, but there's a reason he was an undrafted player coming out of a Division II school. But man, it's going to be tough too for the Panthers, because look, you're going to be without Brian Burns most likely as well in this game, Lewis.
The Bears also, I believe, have a chance to bring back Khalil Herbert as well at running back. So that's going to be just another kind of layer to add to things. Yeah, it's tough. Like all of the good vibes you felt about the Panthers after the win against the Texans just immediately go out the window when they lose the way they do to the Colts. And then CJ Stroud has
like gasoline on
CJ Stroud
fire
type moment. You know what I mean?
It's like gasoline on fire.
It was wild.
He might be that dude, Lewis. But I like it. Like, let's look at this Bears team, right? Like, because a few years back ago, who did they draft in the first round? Mitch Trubisky out of North Carolina, traded up the number 2 pick for him. And I hear it from Bears fans back home. That's where I'm from, Lewis. Oh, they should have drafted Mahomes. They should have drafted Deshaun Watson.
Hindsight's 2020.
Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be a 2-time Super Bowl champion in Chicago. CJ Stroud, I'm not saying he'd be Chris Winkie. We have a coworker at WRAL, Lewis, who thinks CJ Stroud would be Chris Winkie with this current Panthers roster. but I don't think he would be lighting it up like he is, given the infrastructure and the opportunity to succeed in the coaching and to put a young quarterback in a position to do well early in his career during his rookie season. Now, that
Go ahead.
Panthers game Sunday, the 2 pick sixes, those are on Bryce Young, man. 2 overthrows. Like, let's not make excuses. But at the same time, too, would you really be all that much better with CJ Stroud? Maybe he is that generational quarterback. He's looking more and more like it each and every week. But this is also to where, let's not also forget the week before, the Panthers took care of business and actually beat the Texans too. So give it more time. It's not the popular thing to do. And look, I'll give a shout out to our other CBC podcast, Panthers Playbook, where they point this out. Since the 2019 season, where the Panthers have the lowest winning percentage in all of the NFL, this isn't Bryce Young's issue. It's the Panthers in their lack of ability to develop players. And we've said this at the onset of the season, Lewis, and I'll land here. The Panthers skill position players might be the worst in the NFL. It's no knock on any individual one of those players, but Bryce Young can't throw the ball to himself either. And that's where I'll land with this. I mean, Thursday night, though, if you can't compete with Chicago, the Bears have been lousy this season too.
Yeah. I mean, so we do on Friday nights, we do this thing called Pigskin Picks on RAL, right? I'm in the lead at the moment. No big deal. But for the first time all year, I picked the Panthers. I've picked them to lose every single game. But I picked them to beat the Colts. And the reason why was because I'm like, okay, the offense is starting to figure it out a little bit. The Colts defense is susceptible, but that was not the case. And that, to me, like, I think that's what's just so disheartening. Is it's one thing to lose, it's another thing to lose in the way that the Panthers are losing, and to see CJ Stroud and the Texans have the success that they're having. It's tough. I think it's really tough for the Panthers. It's a tough look, but the Panthers are. I think what Steve Wilkes was able to do at the end of last season, I think kind of tricked people a little bit, because the Panthers played a brand of football at the end of the season that I think gave you a very high floor. And so they were able to get those wins. They were able to rattle them off. They were able to take advantage of teams making mistakes. They were able to play solid football. And I think what the Panthers are trying to do now is they are trying to, how can I phrase this? The Panthers are trying to play a different style of football that has a higher ceiling than what they were playing last season, but when executed poorly, it has a very low floor. And so I think that the Panthers, because of that stretch run they went on the end of last season, I think it kind of tricked people a little bit into thinking that this Panthers roster and this Panthers team is better than they were. And that's just not the case.
I think that's so well said, Lewis. I think that's so well said, because look at who the quarterbacks were a year ago for the Panthers, where you're cycling through Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and PJ Walker. With that, you have to win one possession games. You have to win time of possession, control the clock, not turn the ball over, and play stout defense.
Yeah.
That can win you some ball games that might get you to 500. Remember, the Panthers didn't have the number 1 pick. They had the number 9 pick.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually talk about competing and winning Super Bowls, the way I look at it too is, okay, we're talking about CJ Stroud, and he might be the next guy, and AFC is loaded at the quarterback position. There is a drop-off in the NFC in terms of the quarterback talent. So if you get the right guy and you draft and develop Bryce Young in the right way, that's what the opportunity is here. You knew it wasn't going to be this season,
Mm-hmm.
but what you want to start to see is the progression. What you want to start to see is a quarterback pair with his offensive coordinator and Thomas Brown, who's now calling the plays, not Frank Reich. And just that week-by-week development, growth isn't always linear. But they're tough to watch, Lewis. They are tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, pick sixes are going to happen as a rookie. Like, you're going to have turnovers, you're going to make mistakes. But it's like I said, I keep rattling this point home. At the end of the season, you want to have a pretty good inclination as to whether or not Bryce Young is the guy. The wins and losses don't really matter for the Panthers. It's just, are you in a position where you get done with the season and you're like, yes, we feel good about who we have at quarterback. And I think that's just part of the issue, is just the way this team is set up, the way they're playing. You're just going to kind of continue to be in limbo, where it feels like Bryce Young hasn't had the opportunity to prove that. I felt really good about him after that Texans game. and then he good 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Mm.
So I don't know. We'll continue to see with the Panthers as they grow and develop, and they need to make that team better. I'm not trying to make excuses for Bryce Young. He definitely made mistakes, but at the same time, like we've said all season, most quarterbacks are going to struggle behind what the Panthers are putting together on offense.
Yeah, and without Burns potentially Thursday night, CJ Henderson too. So it's like you need all the help you can get to get just to win a game. And I will say this too. I'm happy that they got one against Houston because again, we looked at this 4-game stretch and it's like, if not now, when?
Yeah,
So we'll see. And then the Bears get their pick too. So that like
it's a
at
win-win
this
for the
point in
Bears.
this, if I was a Bears fan, I have a lot of Bears fans in my life, Lewis. I don't know if you want to try to win this one or not, because it's like, okay, do you want to try to continue to get closer to that first pick? But then if it shakes out the right way, maybe you could get the first 2 picks for the first time in NFL history.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait for this game Thursday night, though, just because Al Michaels' disgust. I just don't think he's going to be able to hide it at his advanced age, and the fact that he's still doing it is remarkable. But that to me is like the thing I can't wait for the most, where it's like you're going to have to drum up some enthusiasm and reasons to watch. And look, Thursday night football, I will be tuning in, and I cannot wait for this one. Again, we thought a few weeks ago Bears Broncos was going to be rough. Just wait till Thursday.
Even bad football is good football, Mark. All right. So any last news or notes here you want to slide in there, and any kind of any additional info you want to put out there, Mark?
Yes. I'm working on a story. There's a new indoor pickleball facility in Wake Forest, North Carolina. So look for that on WRAL.com next week, putting that together. Very impressive facility. Pickles in play, 7 indoor courts. It was packed when I was there yesterday. And then, Lewis, I'm learning how to walk again. I ran the City of Oaks Marathon. I survived.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. But my legs I'm still walking a little funny since Sunday. But, the support that I received was probably my favorite part. Family, friends, all of that. Sunday was a terrific day, but that's what I've got. What about you, Lewis?
Not to put you on the spot, but how long did it take you? What was your time?
4 hours and 15 minutes.
That's awesome.
I ran the first half of the race in an hour and 45. The
Oh
second
my
leg of the
gosh.
race was the hills are no joke with the City of Oaks and the trails on the back end. I died mile 14 or 15. Not literally, but the hills were just absolutely brutal on the second half of the race, but you power through. And something I'll always remember, man, it was Sunday.
Dude.
The weather was perfect. All the volunteers and people cheering on as you run through downtown along Hillsborough Street. An absolutely remarkable event, something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Congrats, dude. That is phenomenal. That is fantastic. Congratulations. As for additional news and notes, just kind of wanted to run through the schedule of what we got going on this weekend. Remember, you have NC State going to Wake Forest. That game is a Saturday at 2:00 on the CW. NC State is 3-0 on the CW. So I'm not saying what I'm saying. And then UNC and Duke will play each other at 8 p.m. In Chapel Hill. That's going to be really interesting. Still trying to figure out. It kind of looks like Grayson Loftus, I guess, will be the quarterback, as Riley Leonard's still dealing with, his injury. Henry Beelan is still dealing with a bunch of injuries. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one works out. Speaking of UNC and Duke, by the way, this just happened a little bit ago. Drake May saying that he is not sure if he's going to participate in senior day activities on Saturday, because it is their last home game of the season, because he's still not decided what he's going to do after the season. So interesting. The presumed top 5 pick in the NFL draft. We'll see what Drake May ultimately ends up deciding to do. And then let's see what else was there. NCCU is playing at Howard. Davius Richard, for people who know about one of the better quarterbacks at that level of football. He's just a couple of touchdowns away from getting the record for most touchdowns in NCCU history, most touchdowns responsible for. So at the rate he's going, he's probably going to pass it against Howard, or in the very last game in Delaware State, I believe, is who they wrap up the season with. And then, we mentioned Thursday Night Football. And then remember NC State playing number 2 UConn in women's basketball on Sunday in Reynolds Coliseum. Okay, there we go.
Let's land the plane here. Let's land the plane here, too. We're now into November. At some point in time in the coming weeks, too, we're going to have bold projections of, okay, where's North Carolina, NC State, Duke? Where are they playing come bowl season as well? So look for that on WRALSportsFan.com. And Drake May, a remarkable career. What's likely his last game in Chapel Hill Saturday against the bitter rival Duke. Lewis, and I was going to ask if you're nervous at all.
We'll see.
But going up against a freshman quarterback, Grayson Loftus, and the Tar Heels are like 12.5-point favorites, I would expect the Tar Heels to take care of business. We will see, though, rivalry games. You could throw out the records. You could throw out the spreads. It was a really close and a really tight game last year. But senior day in Chapel Hill should be a special, special time come Saturday night at Kenan Memorial Stadium.
All right, everyone. For myself, Luis Fernandez, and Mark Bergin, thank you so much for watching WRAL and listening to WRAL Triangle and 2. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch us on WRAL Sports Fan and on the 99.9 The Fan YouTube page. We will see you next week. See y'all.